And then in 4th place, it is Paul Webster with Andy Archer, get my words right, ahead of Jason Hodgson, Jason Rowe, Tom Stevens, John Roberts and Chris Byram. All of them still with the opportunity to get a AM Standings Championship. Then in your Teams Championships, well, it is Pure Sims Esports who lead that one. They've got a nice lead over the rest of the field. Pure Sims OBP in 2nd place. Altitude Esports in 3rd place ahead of Pure Sims Frame. Boosted Jericho have switched positions with Team Mad in 5th and 6th place, with RSR Esports by G Performance in 7th. Pure Sims by CSS 8th ahead of Paceworks Esports by Cracked Coffee. And Williams Esports rounding out your 10 pro teams. And then the Pro-Am teams, well, there you see it. Boosted Motorsport, they've been dominant in this one, leading that one with Simmortal over 300 points behind in 2nd place. SimStickers Racing 3rd ahead of Boosted Support Bubble, Century Sim Racing, Boosted SimSport, Cuda eMotorsports, Performance Link Esports. Nomad Sim Racing actually moved ahead of Altitude Esports Blue, who are in 10th place. And, well, we have got one championship that we can declare here, Chaz, haven't we?
Yes, we do indeed. Now, during all of the endurance events that we've had this season, the 4 endurance races, 1 hour and 45 minutes apiece, there has been a separate cup going on, the Enduro Cup, for which you see the standings here. It basically means that the drivers, they earn points based on where they finish in their class. So even if you win the race overall and you're a pro driver, or even if you're, say, Michael Blake there as the AM, who finishes 15th overall and wins your class in AM, you will get the same points, give or take a few dependent on penalties and other things you can get. But Mike Horder has been crowned, I should say, the champion of the Enduro Cup. Mike Horder winning the Pro-Am Championship a couple of seasons ago as well. Now he is the very first Enduro Cup champion in the World GT Championship, and we pass our wonderful congratulations on to Mike for such a sterling effort all the way through. It's not been an easy thing for these drivers to do, because anybody in the field could take them on, and I think that's really what we've loved about it, isn't it, Paul?
It's certainly been tremendous to see how that Enduro Cup has panned out, and it's been really good to see how that's progressed. So yes, look at that though. It's the fact that you've got 2 Pro-Ams and an AM in the top 3, and then your first pro being Nicole Foggy. So it's great to see those different classes getting mixed together there, and it was a close run thing, it must be said. But yes, Paul Smith and Chaz Draycott here on the coverage, bringing you all the action. 2 40-minute races, the feature, I keep wanting to call them endurance races, the feature races here today. I mean, Chaz, we've loved this addition to the championship this season. It really has been absolutely wonderful.
Oh yeah, it's been amazing. You know, it's filled that grey area between having a sprint race evening where it's just manic racing non-stop, but then we have, you know, GT cars, they specialise in endurance racing. That's pretty much why they're built. You know, they're here to do longer races, but we have that great middle ground where we have 2 pit stops in the endurance races, but we have a feature race which is more than an hour shorter, but it still requires a pit stop due to a limited fuel tank. And it is just great. You know, we've had the drivers that we always talk about shining in the endurance races and not so much in the sprint races, or even some of the drivers that have been quick in the sprint races. You know, there's been a real mix of drivers. It's filled that grey area, and there's been some people that have really shone in that. Ross McFarlane early on in the season, though, in the first few feature race meetings we had, he was unstoppable. Absolutely unstoppable. But you know, we've seen some very strong performances since then as well. It's been absolutely mega. So yeah, I'm very excited for tonight. And Daytona, what a place to do it as well.
Well, I mean, one of those drivers that I do want to talk about is Matt Turnbull. I mean, he's really you've seen that progression throughout the season. He's just moved closer and closer to that front group, and getting the win last time out, absolutely tremendous stuff from him. And it's great to see that progression from drivers, not just Matt, but throughout the field. It's great to see.
Yeah, I mean, I've recently been commentating on a number of series where, due to the esports boom, as we call it, there's been a lot of people that are very new to sim racing getting involved, and you've just seen them just get used to a car. You'll see them in the first round, and they'll be spinning, and they'll be all over the place. And we've had drivers like that even in this championship, where they've just been finding their feet in GT cars. They've gone, that looks like a good championship, I'm going to join that, and just, they use it as a development tool to build their skills up. And, I mean, Matt Turnbull has been a real star. I won't lie, as one of the newcomers to the championship, we didn't really notice too much of him early on, but then before too long, he really made his name known amongst the drivers in the series and us up here in the commentary box.
Yeah, absolutely. He's really done a good job. Somebody who does return this week is Josh Thompson. He's managed to find the keys to his Lamborghini and has got into this. He's currently sat on pole position provisionally. They're still out there doing qualifying, so we'll bring you the grid very shortly indeed. But he's one that you want to. He's like a little bit of a firecracker, isn't he, in this? Because he's not fighting for a championship here, so he's just wanting to win. And people like Ross McFarlane, who are fighting for a championship, they've got to be careful.
Oh yeah, well Josh has got nothing to lose really. He wants to just go for a win. It's an extra win on his tally for the season. And if you don't think Josh is competitive, then you clearly don't know Josh. So yeah, he'll surely be out there. He's had a tough year in the Porsche Esports Super Cup this year. He's going to want to come in tonight after finishing that on the weekend. Congrats on the broadcast, by the way. It was fantastic, awesome stuff. But Josh will be happy to just get back into something a little bit more. I don't want to say relaxed. This isn't relaxed at all, but you know what I mean. It's a bit of a level down from what is expected of him in Porsche Esports Super Cup. He's on pole. He's always fast. He's a lovely lad at heart. He's known for being a bit of a whinge bag, but aren't we all? But I'm looking forward to seeing him around here because he is rapid at Daytona. I think we both got the chance to commentate on him in the past in special events and all sorts taking place at Daytona. Josh is a superstar around here, and if he doesn't win one of the races tonight, then it's because he's had an incident or something's gone wrong in his pit stop, or his Lamborghini's magically turned into an Audi again, something like that.
Well, one person who's going to be sitting on the naughty step from the admins is Matt Bunn, who's managed to go out and qualify when he has a qualifying penalty. So well done, Matt. That's
lad. Go on, lad.
I'm sure there's a special paint on its way to you or something like that, some sort of... but it goes to show that this series, you've got penalties that it is looked at post-event.
Yeah.
And, a lot of people may sort of criticise some of the driving standards that we've seen out there, because there has been some rounds where it's been a case of, I just wish it had been a bit cleaner.
Yeah, we've both sunk into our chairs a bit and gone, oh no.
But you generally see that with the penalties get handed out, those drivers are getting punished and getting to the back of the grid, and if they don't like it, well, it's tough.
Yeah, sling it. But yeah, that's it. Rules are there to be abided by, and they're also there to be broken. And in the case that they are broken, people get shoved to the back of the grid, where people like me usually are, and we'll take you out in race one and ruin your evening from the get-go. So obey the rules, kids. But no, in fairness, I love the fact that championships like this and leagues all across iRacing, they have their rule books, they have things laid out in black and white. People take things seriously, and it just again highlights not just the great community that we have here in iRacing, where people know that you have to still abide by these rules, even if it's not iRacing themselves telling you to do it. People just, they get on with it, because it's the closest thing that a lot of us will get to racing, and serious racing at that. And to have those rules and things in place it just adds to the experience. If anything, it's more immersive. So yeah, unfortunate for Bunny, but yeah, I'm sure he won't mind too much. Well,
we are going to be heading to the starting grid very shortly indeed, so let's give you your starting grid. It is Josh Thompson who leads this one then, ahead of Ross McFarlane, with Matt Turnbull, Michael Avdoka sharing row number 2. Row 3 for Alex Neller in the boosted Jericho car, ahead of David Baker, Pure Sims Frame.
Of course he's 6th.
Yes, absolutely. Ashley Finch and Nicole Foggy share row number 4, with row 5 going to Kenneth Branson and Ross Nicholson, who is your top Pro-Am driver out there on the grid. Adam Watson and Jesse Jones in 11th and 12th place, with Tom Dadswell, Andy Shield, Mike Horder, the best of your Am drivers, Matthew Doyle in 16th place, Ben Gregory, Matt Bunn, and then Michael Blake, Morgan Butler, Chris Van Der Ness and Pete Harrod, with Adam Hedgecock and Matt Woodhouse rounding out the first 24.
Simon Underhill starts 25th with James Whitehouse in 26th place. Behind them is Max Wolf and Daniele Giudici on the 14th row. Rounding out your top 30 is Paul Webster, and in 30th place is Lars Van Rijn. We then have John Roberts and Simon Neller, with Simon Field and Liam Atkins on row... what would that be?
17.
Yeah, maths. Yeah, 17. Good. GG, Chaz. Sean Gardner, 35th. Jason Rowe, 36th in the Immortal Machine. Mark Fletcher in 37th. It'll be interesting to see Mark coming through the field, and Chris Wood as well. Jonathan Walker, 39th, ahead of Brian Loynes. Lee Berridge and Tom Stevens, 41st and 42nd. And at the very back of your grid, we have Andy Archer, not Angus Archer, with Jason Hodgson, 44th, and Chris Byram in the Chris Akabusi tracksuit machine in 45th. But still, late on in the season, Paul, and still we're getting big grids. This has been a really good, really strong season for driver retention, if you ask me.
Yeah, it's been really good to see. And you see that big grid out there. They're waiting to set off on the pace quarter of a lap, I'd say, here.
Yeah.
And these drivers get themselves all set. Not long to get the tyres up to temperature, and you've got a difficult braking zone into turn number 1. So that's going to be something that we will keep an eye on, because cold tyres and brakes into turn 1 will be an issue for these drivers. The first of the 40-minute races here. Chaz, what are we thinking?
Either Josh is going to run away with this, or we're going to see a really good fight between him, McFarlane, Turnbull and Evdoka. I think Neller and Baker might scrap away with each other and fall back, but if they use their heads and work together, they could easily be in that as well. It's going to be intriguing. After last week, I'd say watch out for Kenneth Branson starting 9th. He's going to be right up there.
Absolutely. He had a tremendous race until the issues with penalties, but we're getting set for the start of this one. There's Barney.
Go on, lad.
Waiting with his flag. Pace car drops onto pit road, and it's all at the hands of Josh Thompson. He gets the boot down, and we are going to go green here for 40 minutes of action in race number 1 of the World GT Championship from Daytona. Down into turn number 1. This is a tricky place. Thompson makes it through, as does most of your field. Now, the International Horseshoe here at the right-hander is one of the problem areas that you can have around this track. The rest of your pack working their way through seem to be okay at the moment. Sorting themselves out. They realise it's a long race, so no need to make any dramatic moves out there. Oh, speaking of dramatic moves, there was the 37 of Jesse Jones just giving Tom Dadswell a little bit of a kiss. Oh, as we've got a spinner further back. That's Pete Harrod facing the wrong way, season 7 champion. Oh, and everybody's going to the grass. There's a car spun around. I think that's Jason Rowe, isn't it? Who's had to do a 360 there, but back up underway. We have lost Lee Berridge from this race early on, but it's Josh Thompson at the head of your field at the moment, ahead of Ross McFarlane. Matt Turnbull up to 3rd place, with Michael Evdoka 4th, as we're heading into the bus stop chicane for the first time here. Chaz, I'm pleasantly surprised by that, that start there.
Yeah, in fairness, everybody did a really, really good job of that. You know, everyone was keeping it nice and tidy. There's been some fantastic first laps by some of the guys. A bit of a shame there at the second hairpin to that incident for Pete Harrod. John Roberts was in that, and likewise Jason Rowe. Sean Gardner got held up, but Ross McFarlane tried to get an advantage as soon as possible by dropping down to that low line as soon as Josh had put his foot down. And look at this now, he's actually got the run on him down the inside of turn 1. Turnbull's there as well. Evdoka queuing up. There's a humongous train behind these guys, but due to the nature of Daytona with all of the slipstreaming around the oval section, that's just something we're going to have to get used to tonight.
Certainly are. As into the right-hander at the International Horseshoe. And back away. We're on board with Josh Thompson then, your pole sitter. Going through into the second of the hairpins in this infield section. This is an overtaking opportunity if you want to try it, but really, most of the time, people just stay in line and wait for the runner out of this next corner, the left-hander, back onto the oval, because then the slipstream becomes king. And this circuit, you'll see it plenty here tonight. Slipstreaming will be a plenty out there tonight.
Yeah, definitely. It's just the one thing you need to get ready for, really, on a track like this. You know, you need to realise when it's worth defending and when it's not worth defending, really. But it just shows you how competitive this field is. Everybody's just a couple of tenths apart, and everyone is so close together. But, I mean, look at that through the bus stop. It looks absolutely phenomenal. Really, really good stuff. We've got a car off in the background. I think Michael Blake just had a moment through the bus stop there. I've just seen him lose a few positions on the timing screen, but he's underway without damage. And to be fair, if you can have a little moment at the bus stop and not hit anything, you've done pretty well, really, haven't you?
Yes. The last time I ever raced around here, I went into the bus stop and found the tyre barrier, so I don't have fond memories of this track. Alex Neller has dropped down a position behind Adam Watson. And in fact, Gulbranson is trying to follow through as well. Oh, a little bit of sideways, a little bit of contact. Oh, there's a hip check, there's a bit of paint swap. And Gulbranson says, oh, well, thank you very much. I'll take 7th place then.
Yeah, that was amazing how they got away with that. Great control by the pair of them there. Neller's lost 4 places since the start, and Adam Watson had gained 4, and he's now gained 3 due to Gulbranson getting ahead. Funny thing, actually, Adam Watson put something in the World GT Championship Discord earlier on, saying that he'd had he got 4 black flags during practice because he kept coming out of the pit lane and he hadn't realised that they'd moved the cones really far forward on the pit exit, so he'd been caning it really early on and getting black flags, and he posted a picture saying, since when was this a thing? So he's had to adapt to that tonight, and it looks like he's having to adapt to a little bit of argy-bargy, but as I said, really good control from the pair of them there, but you can see them in front. They're still fanning out. McFarlane putting Thompson under a right load of pressure.
Certainly is, as we watch these cars go through the bus stop. And Jesse Jones has been moving forward there into 10th place. So the 2 RSR Esports by G Performance cars doing well and working their way forward here in this battle. Alex Neller now, Lamborghini versus Audi. Well, let's see how they both get on. But that Mercedes, look at it, the grunt of that Mercedes engine working its way forward. And it's going past Neller, taking that wide line. Still, Neller fights that one. It's still there. It's still on. Almost contact between the 2 of them. And now Neller's going to come under pressure from Finch. Further down. Disaster for Morgan Butler. He's off at turn 1.
Yeah, easy to lose it into turn 1. It's an absolute nightmare of a braking zone. That's Roberts around as well.
Yep.
But it's, you know, it's a braking zone where you're turning on the way in, and if the car does get unsettled, you need to make a very quick decision. As speaking of quick decisions, McFarlane's made the choice to go forwards, get ahead of Josh Thompson, and he's actually got quite the gap back to him already. I say quite the gap, you know, it's bigger than it was before. But interesting that Josh has got, although I don't know if I've seen that correctly or not. I'm going to wait and see it again. Bit of a flash there from Ross. But I think Josh has got 2 different coloured LED strips on that car. I didn't know you could do that. That's pretty cool. But in fairness, Ross, I'm not surprised that Ross wants to push forward early. He's got such incredible pace, and he manages these feature races so well. I mean, we spoke about it briefly earlier on, that he just has so much done right in his head in these sorts of events, and people just weren't able to match him. I mean, if you look back at Interlagos, he just drove away from the field and he just made the strategy work, and that was it. You know, it looks like he's in a position to do that again tonight.
Yeah, he certainly could. Lee Berridge was found out having technical issues. and he's. And you see, it takes a lot for a person to do that and to pull over, realise they're going to be causing issues, so get out the way of everyone and not cause any sort of major accidents. So fair play to Lee for stepping aside. Ashley Finch is on pit road, so something up for Ashley, maybe a penalty of some sort.
He's found Josh Thompson's spare key in his glove box.
So, as he's sat there on pit road at the moment, if it's a... Well, the other thing I could really think of is cutting a course and not then giving the time back.
Yeah, potentially. But, I mean, you'd think that he would give the time back because you get a fair warning now. For a long time in iRacing, it just told you how much time you've got to give back. Or at least told you to slow down until you knew. But as of... I think it was...
Sean Gardner's had issues.
Oh, no. That's a messy Lambo. Yeah, there's not much left of that, I'm afraid, at the front. But only quite recently, in updates to iRacing, have we actually now got something that tells us how much we need to slow down by and how long we've got to do it. So, you know, he's not really got an excuse for ignoring that.
Yeah, that's the problem right there. On that
it's a Lamborghini.
It's missing its front bumper and front bonnet and everything. Anyway, back to the front then.
Lightweight.
So, yeah, that's true. Yeah, it's not going to be good on the aerodynamics though. That's the thing.
No, it's like driving in a brick wall.
Now the front two are just making a breakaway a little bit from Matt Turnbull, and Thompson. I think he's playing the long game here. He's happy to just sit behind Ross here. He's happy to just do some fuel saving and get him in the pit stops. That's what he's trying to do here.
Yeah, that's it. You know, we see a bit of a different attitude from some
Watson's
of the drivers. Off. Oh, no. Oh, he's off at turn one. He's overcooked it. Or whether he's had contact.
Careful.
Oh, flip neck. That was the man in 21st place there, Jim Whitehouse. Just coming back on. I had a wonderful chat with Jim from Century Sim Racing and some of the boys after last week's round. Really top bunch of guys, to be fair. And you know, Jim's had a tough time over lockdown with the business and everything. You know, it's very much a business that relies on people being able to go there to Century Sim Racing. So if you are around the area and you do get a chance, then do help him out and visit when he reopens, because it's a wonderful place to be. I know I'm going to be going when I can. But either way, we're on board with a man that's had a fantastic drive through the field so far. Chris Wood, 14 places gained. So he's having a real mish at the moment in the PM, and it's quite nice to see the BMW getting some good treatment, really, because aside from me calling it ugly and telling you not to look at the front, it's actually, I mean, it's come on a little bit as the season's gone on, hasn't it? But as I said last time out, it's not really made as many strides as I expected to see it make.
Can I point out, by the way, that you the other day put out a social media post stating that you'd made that it was a very pretty looking BMW that you'd painted.
Oh, the livery was, yeah. Car isn't.
It's the fact that you called it pretty.
Yeah, it was the Rocket Sim Sport pig that did 8 hours of the Nürburgring and then quit. I say quit. The boys were leading all the way through, and then they had an accident that was nearly 2 hours of repairs. It was a massive one, so they jacked it in, unfortunately.
Evdoka losing a position to Foggy, is he? No, he was challenging for that position, so they stay.
Oh, still.
In those positions for the time being. Evdoka's not had the best season, or second half to the season, should I say. Foggy, fighting for the Pro Championship, he doesn't really want to be losing that many points to Ross Nicholson, but Evdoka and McFarlane are teammates.
Yeah, they are, that's it. You know, this could be considered a bit of team tactics here. Yeah, definitely. I mean, Nickel Foggy, I'm pretty sure, is our only ever double champion of the World GT Championship, so he's going to be looking for that third title, and he'll be hailed as an absolute hero if he can get a third, because, I mean, if you are like Paul and I, and you've been around the World GT Championship for as long as you have, and you've seen the amount of competitiveness that has just increased and increased season on season, the amount of incredible drivers that we've had come and go, to even win one championship is hard enough, but to win two and be on the brink of a third, is just downright lunacy, you know. Like, Nickel is just disgustingly fast, but he's such a sound guy about it. Here's a man that's been around since the very get-go, admin Matt Bunn, who has been a little bit naughty tonight, but he's going well, though, in the field. He's not spun yet. And his other admin in front of him.
But the thing is, Andy Shield, I mean, how stealth is that in a night race?
Yeah.
Just a completely matte black car as they go through, but Bunn's going to catch up. And there's Matthew Doyle behind them as well. He's trying to get in on the act here. So this is what you're going to see. You're going to see this field pretty much break down into little different battle packs. You're going to have little gaggles of cars as Bunn trying to force his way through. And you see that. Chris Van Den Ness and Mark Woodhouse have got to the back of that queue. Somebody who isn't getting to the back of that queue, Jim Whitehouse, who's spun, guess where? So number 1.
Yeah, it looks to me like he's gone, due to them skid marks there, he's gone way off quite early there. I'm wondering whether he's had a bit of contact and been turned around on the way in, or whether he's even lost it
the car
just
looks
before
pretty straight.
Yeah, strange that, but it definitely looks like those skid marks came from near the wall. Interesting that he's had that go on. But here's Michael Evdoka up to 3rd place now. He's going to go after Josh Thompson, and then his teammate, of course, Ross McFarlane, but we'll have to see what sort of inroads he can make. Chris Wood remains your biggest mover in the field. He's now up 16 places. He's absolutely flying at the minute. Inside the top 10, you've got Jesse Jones and Tom Dadswell, who have gained 4 places each. Kenneth Gulbranson has gained 2. Nickel Foggy has gained 3. So Nickel moving up some of the most important positions in the field at the moment into 5th. But listen to this thing, the Lamborghini Huracan GT3, 5.2 litre V10. Same engine pretty much that's in the Audi in front. Similar chassis, of course, just different bodies, aerodynamics. They still have quite a lot of different behaviour about them. But what a wonderful pair of cars there. And look how stable they're keeping them there, just so they don't wash off a single decimal place of a mile an hour down there. They are being so gentle about everything, aren't they?
And they're being careful with the throttle as well to not bounce the limiter. It's better to just try and hold it at the limit rather than just bouncing it off the limiter. So that's what you were hearing there with the onboard.
And it's good for fuel saving as well, of course, because iRacing bases it off the throttle position rather than the revs.
Yeah.
So if you've got a bit less throttle on, you're saving fuel that whole time, which is what these guys want to do here, just so they can adapt their strategies.
Yeah, it's all about strategy. Good grief, we've almost had 15 minutes of racing here in this opening race. It's been fast and frenetic at the front, because I can tell you that the front 7 are all together in a queue. Kenneth Gulbranson has joined the back of the party here, and David Baker, well, he'll be doing his best to hang on to that 6th place that he so dearly loves to finish in. But here we are then. So at the moment, it is Ross McFarlane, Josh Thompson and Michael Evdoka. The top Pro-Am is Tom Dadswell, up to 9th place here in this race, with Mike Horder in 11th and Ben Gregory 12th. In fact, no, now it's Ross Nicholson in 12th place. Switch your positions in your Pro-Ams. Your top Am driver is Matthew Doyle, down in 19th place. He's ahead of Michael Blake, who's in 21st, and Max Wolf, who's in 23rd here in this race. You could tell the different class of cars as well. Michael Evdoka's making some moves here.
Yeah, he's getting on with it now. Right to the front he goes, soaring past the pair of them. But this is it now. Oh, Ross made a little mistake on the way in. Car got out of shape. Josh does a really good job not to go into the back of him, but that has brought Turnbull into this as well. But now, having those two Pure Sims Esports cars together up front, both ahead of Josh Thompson, could work in their favour. Or is this now Evdoka saying, right, I'm going to get my foot down and I'm going to crack on with this? Or is he just simply... Yeah, well, that's it. You know, I was wondering whether Ross is deciding to save fuel and Michael's saying, no, stuff it, I'm going to go flat out. Because I think in the championship, he wouldn't have made it difficult for him there. But obviously with Josh so close behind, I wouldn't expect him to make it that easy at the risk of losing any further time from Josh.
Yeah, it's old tactics. You love to see it. It's great to see as they head on through NASCAR turns 1 and 2 and heading down the back straight momentarily. So these three switching positions. I was just going to say, if you are new to the series, there are three classes of drivers out there. You've got the pro drivers, which are identified by the green numbers in the timing tower. The yellow numbers, they are your pro-am drivers. And then the am drivers are delineated by a red number. So worth keeping an eye out on that, just to give you a little bit of that. Matthew Doyle, there you go. That sort of ready, what was that? A ready brown sort of colour? Or
Burgundy.
Pastel sort of red, but something like that. Anyway, Hugo was one who decided the colours, not me.
Like
but
a rosy colour.
well,
I don't know.
We've got 2x2 further up the field. That's Andy Shield and Matt Bunn. They're just having fun together, with Chris Van Den Ness and Mark Woodhouse together behind them as well. So they're pretty close, battling out there on track. The first few of your pit stops are happening, by the way. Simon Field is heading onto pit road right now. Paul Webster, Brian Lyons, Simon Neller, Jason Hodgson and Simon Underhill have had planned pit stops out there. So we'll have to see how that all pans out. You're looking around between 12 and 15 seconds for a pit stop here.
It's quite a, despite it being quite a straight and visually short pit lane here, it does take a while to get down it, really. I mean, these guys, even with a pit stop that's about 12 seconds, you're spending nearly 50 seconds in there. And I mean, we've been to a few circuits already this season where it's not even 40 seconds in the pit lane with a stop. So it does show you just how long that tri-oval section of Daytona is, doesn't it, really?
Yeah, as they go through that bus stop chicane, then on to NASCAR turns 3 and 4. Michael Evdoka, your race leader here. Great shot there, down by the track. Now, is Thompson going to make any moves here? I don't think he is. I think he's just, again, going to sit behind I keep on saying Nicholson. McFarlane. That's what you get when you get two Rosses in the same race. I'm bound to make mistakes.
Ross
Live
Nicholson will be
broadcast.
happy about it.
Yeah, Andy Shield and Matt Bunn both onto pit road now.
The two admins sticking together. But the thing is that, I mean, considering how much I've commentated recently, you know, you would have thought that I'd have figured it out by now. But part of me always forgets that the later you pit, the shorter your stop's going to be. So I think Josh is just going for that tactic at the minute. He knows he's got the pace to stay with these guys. He's not losing any time at this point if he stays with them. You know, it's still a bit of a stalemate. Oh, Adam Watson's around. Waits for the traffic to go out of the way and manages to get back on, but he's lost a number of positions. He's got a flashy light man behind him.
That's Morgan Butler coming up behind. So Adam now down to 24th. Consider that last season, when we had the abandoned race because of the server problems that happened on that day, the only ever time that we've, well, no, the first of two times that we've had a red flagged race, it really, it was just heartbreak for Adam. He was on for a second place in that race, and then it all went wrong. And then today, it's just going from bad to worse. The Audi is not behaving the same as last season for him.
No, definitely not. And I mean, not forgetting as well that last season Adam was a Pro-Am as well. So to be second overall, you know, we were gobsmacked, and he was just showing us his true potential. He flashes in response to Morgan, even though obviously they both point forward.
Oh!
He doesn't care. Oh, that's
Woodhouse.
Mark Woodhouse. Deciding that he wants to just check out the paintwork on the barrier a little bit. Manages to get back on, uses the escape road there, but realises it runs out. A bit of the sound of music as he comes back on, but yeah, it's probably the best thing for that BMW. Cover up the front of it with some grass, Mark. Go on. But nice recovery, though. But, I mean, you've got to be so careful rejoining on a track like this. As in comes the best named driver in the series, Max Wolf. Brilliant race driver name, that.
Now, here's the thing. Max Wolf, here's something I want to point out here. This pit lane, it is quite a fast pit lane here. You're looking at around 100 kilometers an hour sort of speed down the pit lane. So compared to most other tracks that we race on, you're able to traverse the pit lane a bit quicker.
Yeah, I think in a way, I prefer some of the slower pit lanes. I mean, obviously, as you know, he's made a mess of it on the exit. As you know, I'm a diehard fan of Alton Park, and that has one of the slowest pit lanes in the country. They're 31 miles an hour, I believe, which is almost half, just over half of what this is. And I quite like a slower pit lane because it breaks up the race a bit for me. It can be a bit painful to coast at that speed after you've been doing an average of over 100 miles an hour around a circuit like this, but I think that a slower pit lane, it just gives you a bit more time to get your entry right and just keep it tidy. But I suppose, again, that's one of the challenges of Daytona, isn't it? You're coming off 160, nearly 170 mile an hour oval section like we're going to here, or are we? No, we're not. But, I mean, you can just see how quickly you have to get it tucked in and slowed down. It's really not easy to do, as we have a car coming out of the pit lane. We stay on board then with Dadswell, Jesse Jones in the big beefy Mercedes just in front. He's been going well this season, Jesse. It's been a real shame about his technical issues that he's been having at certain rounds, because I would have loved to have seen what a full, proper assault on the championship would have been like from him. Because don't forget, he won the first race, didn't he? At Monza in an Audi.
Yeah, absolutely. So, it shows this level of pace that there is with Jesse, and just, as you say, those technical issues which can fall on everybody in this championship. Look at Dadswell. Dadswell has been really impressive as a driver this season, I feel. It wouldn't surprise me if Altitude Esports do enter next season and Dadswell is in it. I wouldn't be surprised if he's a pro next season.
Well, I was actually talking to Mark Fletcher the other day, a really good mate of mine, Mark. He unfortunately got a penalty for the incident at the start at Spa, as Jim Whitehouse recovers after another moment there. 30th place for him, and that was before Jonathan Walker just went past. But he was saying that over the season, Tom Dadswell has been having some driver coaching, and so has Mark as well, and it's helped them both out so much. And, I've heard people ridicule driver coaching in sim racing before. It's not real. That just annoys me that people go down that route of even blaming that on it, because it's still a skill that you can develop. It's still something you can get better at. As a bit indecisive there by Dave Baker, by the look of it. But the coaching has clearly helped Mark and Tom Dadswell. Mark could have probably done with a bit more coaching up Radion, but we'll glaze over that. But Dadswell, you're right, he's been a star this season. I've really enjoyed watching Tom. I first commentated on him at a special event at Bathurst in these GT3 cars not long after this season began, and he was fantastic in that as well. And since then, he has just been more and more impressive. And Altitude Esports, a relatively new team on the scene in iRacing, but they've certainly put their name on the map, that's for sure.
Next round of pit stops, Adam Watson's decided to head onto pit road. Morgan Butler, Lars Van Rijn, Andy Archer all on pit road. So we're getting to that phase now where the pit stops are becoming more of a factor. We'll get to see how everything pans out after that. We've got under 15 minutes remaining in this race here. And definitely Ross McFarlane is just sat there in second place at the moment. He's got Josh Thompson, Matt Turnbull and Nicole Foggy. I mean, Josh Thompson, feels sorry for him because he's in a bit of a Pure Sims a gaggle here. He's on his own. I think he needs a chaperone or something like that to be involved with them lot, because they'll just gang up on him and bully him if towards the end of the race, I feel here.
He needs the Michael Blake Monza-style presidential escort that we had going down the straight. That's still, with the combination of that camera shot of when we sort of realised what was going on, I still maintain that was one of the best moments I've ever witnessed in this championship. That poor old Michael Blake in the big, bright, fluoro yellow BMW. They're probably the least presidential-looking car you'll ever see. And it just, oh man, it was just hilarious. Pure Sims cars everywhere, and he just thought, no, I'm not having anything to do with that, as we've got important cars on pit road. Jesse Jones, Ross Nicholson, Alex Neller, Mike Horder, Ben Gregory.
Oh my goodness!
Oh, that
Spinner.
Is Doyle. Matt Doyle, that cone has been sent for a holiday completely. What happened? Was there contact there?
I don't know. I
just looked at timing.
I think that he just lost it getting onto the brakes and went a bit wide over the grass because the cone is on the grass there as the drivers head on out of the pit lane here. I think Doyle will be a bit embarrassed and thinking, oh, please don't say they caught that on broadcast. Yes, we did.
Guess what, Matt? Oh, heck. Well, it happens, you know. As
Jim Whitehouse.
Yeah, he's just jumped back to the pits and inherited the lead for a minute. Screenshot that, Jim. But there he is. That's stealth. Look at that. You can barely see him in there. It's like Batman. But, he's actually going back out, though. So maybe he's just got a fast repair or something. Yeah, the timing's corrected itself now. Yeah, I'm intrigued that he just jumped back to the pits and was able to get going again so quickly, though, because normally you have to tow for quite a while. Unless you're basically at pit entry. Yeah, that's true. As here comes the leaders. Oh, we've got a pit party for 2 as well. Thompson and Foggy, they carry on. So we've got a bit of... Sorry, I was going to say, don't forget, we've seen Foggy do this before. Foggy has a way of making it last like 1 or 2 laps more, and he really makes it work. You know, this guy knows exactly what he's doing with the fuel. So keep an eye on Nickel for the end of this one. Who's going to win the run off of pit exit? You would imagine Ross McFarlane is going to be the first off of pit exit. It's going to be Michael Avdoka then, with McFarlane. And the rest, but Gulbranson in a good spot. Although Baker's jumped him. Baker was behind Gulbranson before they went in, and Baker has jumped him there. Back up into, theoretically, what will be his legendary, almost mystical 6th place. And I think behind them is Matthew Turnbull as well, so he's been jumped by the pair of them. Yeah, he has. 11.8 second pit stop for Turnbull. 8.1 seconds for Baker. Wow. That's short. Much like Dave. But, oh, wow. Okay. No, he's not. No, it's just because I'm tall. But that is, I mean, that's considerably less. You know, that's not just like half a second less. It's 2 seconds less than everyone else, minimum. I mean, it's 3 seconds less than Turnbull. So that's, that could be cutting it very fine there from Dr. Baker. But if there's anybody whose maths I would trust, it would be his. Yeah, Doctor of Astrophysics. Yeah, you would imagine that his maths is good, but... let's hope he's a doctor of fuel amounts. Well, here comes Josh Thompson. We've given you a look at that pit entry. And Avdoka... I think Avdoka's just beaten him onto pit lane. Thompson taking that tighter line, it's actually hindered him. And you can see that it's Foggy, isn't it? Foggy's got more pace. Yeah, Foggy, yeah. Sorry. And then they go. I think Thompson ran out of fuel. Yeah, because he was sort of spluttering down the pit lane. Yeah, because you can't really take more of a straight line than that, can you? Let's see how long he's in for. I don't expect it to be more than 9 seconds. Foggy 9 seconds. Josh 11.2. So he's taken about the same as what the guys have that pitted a lap before him. And when the lap is nearly 2 minutes around here, that's quite a lot. Look at them there coming out. They're absolutely getting on it, but they can't accelerate yet. And Avdoka goes through. Foggy back on the power. Thompson back on it as well. But Avdoka's in the lead. Now, where is McFarlane in all of this? He's still in 4th place. Wow, Avdoka really turning this on his head. What a drive. Yeah, really, really impressive display. So now, if you're Josh Thompson, you want to get the hammer down, try and get past Foggy, and go after Avdoka at the front. If these two start fighting, though, and slowing each other down, Avdoka could actually break the slipstream here, and that would be critical around this track. Yeah, definitely. That's all Michael will be praying for now, is that Thompson closes up on Foggy, and they do start to battle. But to be fair, even though they're not in the same team for the sake of this championship and both in Pure Sims, I feel that Foggy will defend this. You know, he's going to, if he can't catch up with Avdoka very quickly, if he's not got the pace on him, he'll concede that and he'll think, right, you know what, I'm just going to let him go away, I'll defend and I'll, you know, have a scrap with Josh here, because there's no point letting Josh go through to go after your teammate, is there? Well, speaking of scraps, you've got a scrap for the lead of Pro-Am here. It is Tom Dadswell, who's the leader in Pro-Am, and Ross Nicholson in 2nd place
in Pro-Am. So those two, 9th and 10th in the race, are really pushing on. And Ross Nicholson has been one that's just been steady away, hasn't he? He's not really been making that many waves out there. He's just been picking up those points and doing well.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, a lot of the time, the under-the-radar performances, as I call them, they are the ones that work. You know, we've had a number of drivers this season that, in all fairness, haven't stood out to us at every round. You know, we've seen a good bit of racing from them here and there, but they've not always been right in your face and the most exciting drivers on track. I mean, it's hard to stand out in a field this big, but yeah, there have been some real amazingly consistent drivers this season that have just constantly been up there in the championship standings. As we look here at Pete Harrod and Michael Blake, with
They've
Paul
literally
Webster
just switched positions, by the way, down into turn 1 of these two. Paul Webster, your second. So this is the leader in AM is Michael Blake. Paul Webster is second place in AM. So this immortal driver, they're a Team Mad affiliate. And then Paul Webster, the Team Mad driver, and then a further Team Mad driver of Chris Wood behind him. So Pete Harrod, who, by the way, has raced for Team Mad in the past, he's getting a bit bullied now.
Yeah, the 3 massive BMWs as well against the little Audi. So he is going to feel very, not just outnumbered, but yeah, certainly in terms of real estate, he's got not much on these BMs around him. So intriguing to see how Pete gets on. I'm wondering whether he's got any damage from the incident earlier, because he did take a bit of a hit to the front right. The car looks okay.
You
now,
do get a free repair, though.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. You know, it'd be a bit daft not to take it around here, because you and I both know how much a knock can affect a car here, although the front right does still look a little bit crumpled to me. I'm not sure whether that's just my dodgy eyesight again, but look at this now. That's race leader of Doka losing it to Foggy and Thompson. I didn't expect to see that.
Yeah, so Foggy to the head of your field, ahead of Josh Thompson, and Nicole, who's behind Ross McFarlane in the championship and the pro standings, is in the ideal spot to be in, first place here. Josh Thompson, Michael Evdoka right behind him though, and McFarlane I think he's just outside of the slipstream here, so he's going to be losing out to these 3 at the front.
Yeah, I think with 14 points between them, it's going to be mighty close here. I'm just having a quick look at what points difference there would be between the guys, and there would be about 7 or 8 points, dependent on obviously your 0x race and so on, which I doubt anyone will get around here because it's a very difficult track to get that at. But give or take a few, I think that McFarlane would still just pip him at the moment, but we've got another race to go yet, and it could all change there.
Through the bus stop chicane, so easy to make a mistake through there. A little bit of additional curbing added to the second part of the bus stop chicane. You can thank the NASCAR boys for that one, because they added it for them. Because apparently turning through that chicane is hard for them in the NASCAR, but there you go.
That's a shame.
As through they go, and here's the slipstream coming into effect now. Heading towards the final 5 minutes of this race, and we're heading into turn number 1. We've got about, 3 or 4 laps remaining in this one. Look at that, Evdoka trying to go around the outside.
He was trying to box Josh in there as well, because he definitely had the speed to go completely around him, but he just let off a little bit and stayed alongside him, so Josh couldn't force anything onto Nickel into the first corner. He then tried to make it stick. You could see they were trying to work together to try and slot Michael between them, but it didn't work, and Josh really is the spoiler in the pack for these guys now, but it's giving us some fantastic racing to watch. But we need to keep our eye on Ross McFarlane in the background as well. He's 1.4 seconds off the back of Evdoka. And like Paul said before, he could lose the slipstream. He's not going to be getting much of it at that distance. He is gaining.
I can tell you he is gaining, because he gained 1/10 of a second on the last lap. Well, it's now 1.2 seconds. So he's gaining on this lap as well. So he will start feeling the effects of the slipstream. Will Ross McFarlane then, the Pure Sims driver? So we'll have to wait and see if he comes into this battle and makes it a fatal 4-way to the end. Foggy leading them. Thompson and Evdoka ahead. You've got to be pinpoint precise through that bus stop chicane. One little mistake, you get a slowdown penalty for cutting the corner, and that just drops you way off from a chance of winning this race here. 3 minutes and 10 seconds remaining in this race. So, yeah, we are going to be... we are going to be close. 3 minutes now. So, yeah, we're going to be 2 laps.
Yeah, this one and then one more. Not that people couldn't figure out what 2 laps meant. Josh Thompson tries to get around the outside of Nickel Foggy. That is not just brave, but fantastic.
David Baker's pitting again.
Oh, no.
Has he miscalculated his fuel?
I hope not, but it looks that way. Look at this. Thompson down the inside into the international horseshoe. Foggy gives him a bit of room. Josh runs a little bit deep. There's not contact, though. 2 of the very best drivers in the business right now. Nickel Foggy, this year, got the fastest lap in the world at the 2021 iRacing 24 Hours of Daytona. He set the fastest lap out of anybody during the 24-hour race. So this guy knows what he's doing around here. He wasn't in the R8 for that, but boy, is he a potent man when it comes to these cars. Now, Michael Avdoka is still stuck right with Josh there. He's not giving Josh any breathing room at all. And to be fair, that makes quite the difference, doesn't it, Paul? Not just when you're chasing the car in front closely, but when the guy behind you is also putting the pressure on. You've got it from both angles, and it's so difficult to do anything to overcome that.
Yeah, it is. It puts you in an incredibly difficult position, but if anybody's got the speed and experience, it is Josh Thompson. And now, he's got to be careful. He doesn't want to be too close to the car in front, because you can compromise your run out of the bus stop chicane there. And I think Avdoka was guilty of that a little bit and just got a little too close to Josh. Josh is now looking... I'm surprised to see him going high there mid-corner, but he's trying to get the slingshot off the corner there. Yeah. And look at that now. Avdoka's following him. We're going to be starting the last lap, and we're going 3 wide across the line. Thompson, is that the setup for... a last lap run? Well, he's actually taken it. So, is this the... oh, no, he hasn't. He's gone a bit too deep there into turn 1. And that's... look at this. Ross McFarlane now. It's a 4-way dance for the end.
Well, I think Thompson figured he's got nothing to lose. He's down the inside. There's a bit of contact. Avdoka tips Foggy sideways. That's big for the championship. McFarlane goes down the inside now as well. Thompson had nothing to lose. He had to just go for that there. He knew that was going to be one of his golden opportunities to, even if he doesn't get past, just put one of them off. But the contact there between Avdoka and Foggy now means that Ross McFarlane is, as things stand now, he's not going to lose any points to Foggy. He's actually going to gain them in the top of the standings.
Your 2 championship protagonists in the Pro Championship together in 3rd and 4th place. But ahead of them, Josh Thompson. He's putting the pressure on now on Avdoka. Avdoka's trying to take different lines here through the oval section, just trying to compromise Thompson, do everything that he can to try and win this one. We're going to be close to the line. There's the timer to 0. So you got the confirmation there. Final lap. What's it going to be across the line? This is where Thompson needs that run now. We'll have a look at that aerial shot then provided by ATV. And he's gaining. He is gaining on the car in front. Is that soon enough? Has he done it at the right time? He's going to pull out to the... oh, that's a bit naughty there, no. Josh. You can't overtake on the apron. No. Well, he's taken the win here on the timing sheet. But strictly speaking, you cannot use the apron to make a move.
No, I agree. I'd say Michael Avdoka wins that race. It was a wonderful battle between the pair of them. Josh could argue that he had no option, but at the end of the day, you just don't overtake there. He has... there are situations where you've got a right to defend that lower line, but we'll have to see. We'll come back to it. This is Ross Nicholson coming out of the final corner, and just ahead of him...
David Baker.
Actually, sorry, yes, that's David Baker. Apologies, that was not Ross Nicholson at all. That was Brian Loynes behind David Baker. I was going to say Ross Nicholson was going to win the Pro-Am, but he's not even done that. It's Tom Dadswell that's done that, so sorry, mate. In terms of the AM drivers, though, it's going to be Michael Blake, is it not, that's going to win that?
Yeah, well, there's a close battle here. Chris Byram, Jason Rowe and Simon Underhill. It's 2 Lamborghinis and a BMW. Jason Rowe taking the kids out for a holiday here, by the looks of things. getting awfully close. He's boxed in his underhill, but I think he's just missed out on it. And Paul Byram goes for a ride. He doesn't care. He finished in front of them all.
Well, he's going to get an unsafe pit exit and entrance for that, I think. But, yeah, what a race that was. Amazing stuff. Great battling by the guys at the end there. I must say it's a bit of a controversial one for Josh to win it like that. But, you know, that's for the stewards and the admins to decide. But you all know Paul and I, we know our thoughts on that. But, I mean, these feature races, that flew by again, Paul. We always say it, and I know it's become a bit of a cliche for everyone to listen to so far, but that honestly flew by. That was fantastic racing.
Well, he is your race winner then. He's taken the cool down lap, is Josh Thompson. What a display. He did everything right, though. That's the thing. He went for the slipstream. He went for it at the end, and that's what it gets you. It gets you a race victory here. So let's give you your race results here in this race. So it is Josh Thompson by 0.024 of a second over Michael F. Durker. Ross McFarlane just 0.2 of a second off of them in third place. Then Matt Turnbull fourth ahead of Kenneth Gould-Branson, who had a good drive through the field, into fifth place. Nicole Foggy sixth place, and then Tom Dadswell, the top Pro-Am driver, seventh place. What a display from Tom. Jesse Jones in 8th place ahead of your second place Pro-Am of Ross Nicholson in 9th. And Alex Nella rounding out your top 10. Mike Horder is going to finish 3rd in Pro-Am in 11th place, with Andy Shield 12th. Matt Bunn and Ben Gregory 13th and 14th across the line together, those three. Matt Fletcher not that far behind them. Brilliant drive from Mark. We never really brought him up in this broadcast, but he finishes in 15th place ahead of Chris Van Den Ness in 16th. Then your AM driver who won the AM standings, it is Michael Blake of this race for Immortal ahead of Pete Harrod. Then Paul Webster is the second place AM driver in 19th place, with Chris Wood rounding out your top 20. Adam Hedgecock ahead of David Baker, we saw across the line. Brian Lyons is the third placed AM driver in your standings in 23rd. Max Wolf and Simon Field 24th, 25th ahead of Adam Watson. Oh, what happened to Adam today? Multiple spins. He will be absolutely gutted with that performance. Morgan Butler 27th ahead of Lars Van Rijn. Tom Stevens and Addy Archer in 29th and 30th place. John Roberts then 31st ahead of James Whitehouse, with Chris Byram and Jason Rowe and Simon Underhill, who finished equal across the line, did Rowe and Underhill there on the timing. So
wow.
Rowe is given that 34th place. I said they were close across the line. They were equal across the line. Simon Neller in 36th ahead of Daniele Giudici, with Jason Hodgson in 38th. Ashley Finch, a race to forget for him. An early pit stop down in 39th, and Matthew Doyle in 40th place. Liam Atkins, another one that had a race to forget with Mark Woodhouse. Sean Gardner finishes one lap down, so will be eligible if we get a full reverse grid. And then those who finished more than one lap down, Jonathan Walker and Lee Berridge, who pulled to one side to decide that it was best to just stay out of everybody's way with the issues that he was having. So yeah, that was the opening race of the evening. We've got one more race to come here, and well, Chaz, we've got a reverse grid to draw.
Yes, we do indeed. Really looking forward to seeing what we get here. Hopefully a nice big one as well for the final feature race of the season. 35 is looking likely to me. It is going to tick over to it. Wonderful stuff. And would you believe it? The man that's been setting up a lot of the sessions, Simon Underhill, will start from pole position. He'll have Jason Rowe alongside him, funnily enough, on the front row. Then Chris Akabusi Byram will start in third place ahead of Jim Whitehouse and John Roberts as well. So we've got a very interesting mix in the top 5. 4 AM drivers, 1 Pro-Am driver on pole position. That's going to be very intriguing. If Simon can keep this Lambo pointing the right way, because he had a nightmare pointing the Audi the right way last season, he will do really well in this, because, you know, Simon has just, he's been chipping away at his driving, and just the things that he gets sort of a bit flustered about and the mistakes and so on. And he's become a lot more of a rounded driver. You know, he may have lost 10 places in that race, but you know, I know that when he's in the right situation, he can do very, very well. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing how he gets on in that one. But what a race.
And thank you to Tim Graven. I'll hold my hands up. Yeah, Nim did confirm that apparently overtaking on the apron on the start and finish line is allowed in terms of iRacing. So that means that, yeah, no, Josh did it absolutely fair. And so we'll hold our hands up here in the commentary booth. I personally don't like it. But but if it's an edict from above, and who can argue with Nim? That's for sure. But yeah, so that's fair enough. So yeah, Josh Thompson with the race win here. Really impressed with, again, we mentioned it before the start of the race, Tom Dadswell, brilliant performance from him. Ross Nicholson up in 9th place as well, a good performance from him in your Pro-Am. And Michael Blake in that BMW. Finishing in 17th place, ahead of season 7 champion Pete Harrod, who did have that issue at the second of the hairpins.
Yeah, you know, he just looking actually, yeah, he did do well actually. He gained 4 places net over the race, so good comeback drive from Pete there. Mark Fletcher, I said he'd be good to watch, and to be fair, we didn't see much of him, but he finished 15th, gained 22 places in that one, so well done to my mate Mark on that. Chris Wood gained 18 in the end. Webster gained 10, he'll be happy with that. Paul Webster's had a very interesting season. It's been good to have him in the championship. And Brian Loynes as well, 17 spots. Even Tom Stevens and Andrew Archer, you know, 29th and 30th place. They gained 13 spots each. And that just shows you the size of the field. You know, if you tell me that you gain 13 places in a race, you know, I'd expect you're in top 20. But yeah, 29th and 30th place for those guys. What a great drive.
Worth pointing out, Jesse Jones got a 3.5 second slowdown on the last lap.
Oh,
I mean, fortunately, that would have dropped him 1 position. So, yeah, that's why Dadswell was able to finish in 7th place. So that's not good. Right, don't go anywhere, everybody, because we have got one more race this evening coming. Another 40-minute race here in the World GT Championship. So make sure you stick around right after these few messages.
heart so full, I'm devoted myself to the night. There's no motive. We're just listening. We're existing.
Yes, we have got the microphone working this time for the intro. It is race number 2 of the evening for the World GT Championship here on RaceSpotTV. Paul Smith and Chaz Draycott bringing you all of the action here tonight. And, well, next week, of course, we have got the season finale coming up. We will be crowning champions next week. But, Chaz, there's also going to be something else next week.
There is, I'm afraid. It's a bit sad, really. I've been involved in the World GT Championship since Season 2. We're now in Season 9, but next week will be my final week with the series. Unfortunately, going forward, obviously, I imagine the broadcast will stay on RaceSpotTV. We've had a right ball doing it, and it's been a wonderful production all around from Paul doing all the wonderful stuff he does. But yeah, I'm afraid next week will be my final commentary on the World GT Championship and my final involvement with the series. It's been a roller coaster ride with them, though. You know, they've been through everything from GT3 racing, GTEs. There's been pro drivers and real pro teams involved. It's been epic. I'm sure I'll end up doing the trailer. I'm definitely not doing the stream. Just told you I'm not. Well, I'll be doing the trailer as it's the Big Ten next season. You know, 10 seasons of a league. It's just been epic. And in terms of the actual driver numbers, you know, it's been one of the most retention-based leagues I've seen. That's just done such a good job of it, and it's so competitive and goes from strength to strength. And I suppose that's why we're still here now enjoying it. But thanks, boys. It's been a pleasure. And Paul, it has been an absolute pleasure, mate. And I look forward to this race and, of course, next week as well, where we get 3 of them.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's worth pointing out, you mentioned it right there, the retention of drivers has been excellent in this championship, but the level of competition has just slowly crept up each and every year, every season of this championship. And it's certainly been thrilling to watch. So, if they'll have me, I'll still be on the broadcast next season. But yeah, it will be different without you. That's the very least.
It'll be more professional.
But well, what we have got here, Chaz, we've got 2.5 minutes. We've got one more race, reverse grid, and it's quite a big reverse grid, 35 spots.
Yeah.
That's going to be very interesting because it's not always the easiest track to work your way through the field here.
No, you can't just get in front of somebody and then just clear off into the distance. You know, you have to have an unbelievable advantage on the infield with your pace to get away from somebody here. And as long as you are within maybe a second of the car in front, maybe even a second and a half in some cases, you can get a little bit of slipstream and just naturally stay with them. As long as you get a good run through the bus stop, you know, we've seen before the real pro drivers, if they nail that bus stop, they can break the slipstream there for the second part of the oval. But yeah, it isn't easy at all, you're right. I mean, some of the drivers in the first race, you know, their results say differently, but there's only a handful of them that have done it. And obviously, the pit stops make a big difference as well. You know, some of the lesser experienced drivers further down the field, the ones that aren't so confident in calculating the fuel as such, and, you know, they'll just stick with a figure that they start with and just put it all back in just to be safe, you know. They'll lose a bit of time naturally in the pit stops and so on. Drivers like Mark Fletcher, who gained over 20 places in that first race, you know, they're the ones that are going to make some strong comeback drives. But now it's been flipped on its head. He's got to do it all again.
Yeah, absolutely. He's not got as far to travel through the field this time, but he'll be somebody to keep an eye on in terms of the results. Don't forget, live timing is available if you're watching this. Well, you are watching this on YouTube because it's the only place we're sending it to. It's the pinned post in the top of the chat if you want to keep up to date with everything that's happening. We're currently in warm up before the start of this race, so hopefully things stay clean. There's no need for a safety car and that, because we had that first lap was absolutely wonderful. There was maybe one or two that had a little bit of bumping and barging and the odd car that spun, but overall it was a really, really clean start to that last race.
Yeah, I mean, we had Harrod around and a few others losing places just because they were avoiding him, but, you know, all that takes is just for 2 cars to make a bit of contact, and, you know, one of them goes around and you get away with it. You know, there are a few people off to avoid it, like I say, but what's that amongst what else was going on? You know, with the amount of cars that we managed to get around a lap cleanly was just brilliant. So, yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing what they can do in this next one, because I know that there's going to be some guys trying to push through a little bit and maybe just push the envelope of what is achievable in a first lap. We've seen some of the guys before gain multiple places in one lap, but Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But either way, we'll crack on and see what they can all do.
Yes, absolutely. We will get on with what they can do out here. So it is Simon Underhill, pole position, sharing the front row is Jason Rowe, with Chris Byram, James Whitehouse, John Roberts and Andy Archer round out your front 3 rows. Then Tom Stevens, Lars van Rijn with Morgan Butler. Adam Watson is the first of your pro drivers in 10th place, with Simon Field and Max Wolf 11th and 12th. Brian Loynes with David Baker 13th and 14th, Adam Hedgecock and Chris Wood, Paul Webster and Pete Harrod 18th. Michael Blake with Chris van den Ness, Matt Fletcher, Ben Gregory, Matt Bone and Andy Shield round out your first 24.
Mike Horder then lines up 25th ahead of Alex Neller in 26th. Behind him is Ross Nicholson, 27th, with Jesse Jones in 28th, followed by Tom Dadswell and Nicole Foggy in 30th. We then have Kenneth Gulbranson ahead of Matthew Turnbull, with Ross McFarlane 33rd, Michael Avdoka 34th, Josh Thompson 35th and Simon Neller 36th. I'm a bit intrigued by Foggy's position now, because he seems to be a bit further behind the drivers that he finished ahead of in that race. Either way, Jason Hodgson's 37th, Ashley Finch 38th ahead of Matthew Doyle and Liam Atkins, Mark Woodhouse and Lee Berridge make up the 21st row. Sean Gardner and Jonathan Walker round out the back of the field for the final feature race of the season.
Nicely timed there, drivers pulling away, and we're getting all set for the start of this race. Of course, again, enough of 40 minutes for these drivers to go and win it. As we head on through that turn, NASCAR turn 3 and 4, cars 2 by 2. I think we've got 2 cars not taking to the start here. Jason Hodgson doesn't appear to be out there, and neither does Lee Berridge. Well, Lee Berridge was having technical issues in race 1, so maybe those technical gremlins, maybe tried a few fixes, see if that would have worked, but doesn't appear to have worked there. So he's down there out of this one, and Jason Hodgson, as I say, not taking to the start. But speaking of the start, drivers getting ready. Barney the flagman, and they're going early here. Simon Underhill wants to try and get away. Adam Watson taking a really high line. He wants to try and get forward, but down into turn 1. Are we all going to get through here? Cold tyres, cold brakes. Be careful. Of course, turn 1. Oh, big accident. That's Watson.
Oh, Roberts had a right moment. Clouted into him, and there's a number of them around. I'm keeping my eye on it, see if there's anything else. There's a few cars off. There's a number of them around. The track is blocked in the middle of the hairpin, and there is a yellow.
Yeah.
There was a number of them there that were just completely stationary across the whole road. There may not have been many held up at the back, but I feel that needed to come out there.
Watson, his car is not going straight at all here. It's a yellow flag. We're under yellow.
Oh, heck, look at that.
Yeah, so we're going to try.
Pete Harrod will buy that for $1,000.
Right, we're going to try. Good luck, everybody. We're going to try and show you what happened here. So it's Watson. Oh, there's a clout from the side. And he's in the... Well, he's managed to avoid the wall. Oh, and then he gets clouted again. The car rolled back onto the track. It's not always the easiest to get back over. There's a car on its side there. Now, who was some of the others that were involved in that? There's one of the RSR Esports cars.
Dadswell, Rowe, or was that Blake in there? Roberts was the one that originally lost it and hit Watson. I'm not sure whether he just clipped the wall and broke the car or something out of the first corner, but Roberts just gave him a right whack. Watson's car dances around.
Oh,
and
it was
then
the 37,
Jones.
yeah. Jesse Jones trying to get back on.
I think he got put onto the grass.
Yeah.
Sorry, it's all a bit mad, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, John Roberts. Where is John Roberts on my timing screen? Because he is the one I want to
I imagine he'll be somewhere near the bottom.
Yes, he is. So let's have a look then. John Roberts out of turn 1, turn 2, and then turn 3. He clouted the wall!
Yeah.
That's what kicked it all off here. And then he's no chance of getting out the way. Oh, Andy Shield clips him. He tried getting out the way of Shield, to be fair to him. And it was Josh Thompson who ended up putting him up on the side there. Wow.
He ends up like a Formula 1 car at the Red Bull factory, just on its side on the wall. But, I mean, it's so easy to hit that wall there. I've seen people do it in the Daytona 24 Hours, and you'd think, surely you can't hit that wall. But honestly, it does really come over on you very quickly. And when you're trying to straight line that section as much as you can, especially while giving room to a car on the right, you know, it's easy to do.
That's the thing. It was the fact that you're trying to give that space to the other cars. There's a lot of cars around there on track. And yeah, John has apologised in the chat, but at the end of the day, when the field is so tightly packed there, you've not got a lot of room to be able to work your way around. So yeah, it's one of those things. It's nothing malicious. It's just a mistake that's happened there. So that's unfortunately ended up giving us this caution. What we have seen previously, I'm thinking back to Interlagos here, when we got a caution there in that feature race in that round. We had people taking a pit stop underneath this into the caution period. I'm thinking of Ben Palmer at that opening one, and then just went long. He went, right, I'm going to the end now, boys. And it almost worked out for him. So maybe somebody could try that trick. Pit lane will be open this time by.
Well, I suppose with the reverse grid and some of the guys being a bit further down the order than they normally would be, you've got to try and at least, you know, if you've not got an advantage when it comes to track position, sometimes you have to just roll the dice. And one person, the man we're looking at now, I was just about to say, I reckon Thompson's going to be one to watch for that, because he's got nothing to lose in the championship. He wants to try and take 2 wins out of 2 in a feature race meeting. He very well could do. You know, he's got experience with the endurance side of things via Williams Esports, and obviously working with Mivano in the past as well. So he
was racing in the Nürburgring 24 Hours, and they ended up finishing 4th. That Mahal Williams Esports team. So you know, he's done a lot of endurance racing in the past weekend. So this is just a bit of a nice short race for him, considering he was doing 24 hours at the Nürburgring. But yeah, it's the fact that you're on full throttle for so long around this track would make it a bit of a push. Josh gives it the half-hearted move to the pit lane. One person who is David Baker. Now, does he have damage? And he's taken the opportunity to get repairs to that car. It's a very short pit stop. I think that's the case. Gulbranson is another car onto pit road as well. And he was one that I feel was getting involved there. So a few cars deciding to come onto the pit road, some of them for damage. Some of them may be taking a splash of fuel to try and take them really far into this race, to then just take a splash of fuel at the end.
Yeah, it's a bit risky if they try and make it to the end from here, but I suppose you've got to think that this safety car, it's not like they freeze the timer. It's taken a long chunk out of this race. It's a long lap around Daytona. I reckon you could pretty easily go to the end. Because what? I mean, 40-minute race, 7 minutes gone. We saw people pitting within the last 10 minutes.
Yes.
So I reckon if you have a bit of a longer stop, yeah, you could definitely do it. Definitely.
Well, we'll have to wait and see what happens. John Roberts is back out there. That's good to see. So he's got repairs on his car. Of course, a free repair is available. He's 1 lap down on the field, but if he finishes 1 lap down, he does score himself some points. So you got to do it. Lights are out on the safety car, so we are going to go racing this time by. And Simon Underhill, well, he's rubbing his hands together because, well, it's the best opportunity for him to try and get a really good result. Same for a few of those drivers. Jason Rowe, Chris Byram, Jim Whitehouse, Tom Stevens, they're all up there. You think with less time available, they've got the potential of losing less positions here than, say, if the race went full green.
Yeah, there's plenty that could happen to these guys at the front, but I think the main thing, I mean, we've seen it before, haven't we, where, you know, just naturally in a reverse grid, some of the guys at the front aren't as quick as some of the guys that are coming through the pack. It's about how you play the game and survive near the front. You know, some of them we've seen before defend against some of the really quick guys, and the difference in pace causes incidents. I think if you just keep a level head and play it right, some of these guys could score some very, very big points here, but there's still over half an hour left in this race to go, and still pit stops aplenty. Anything could happen. I wouldn't dare pick a winner yet.
Well, as Motorhead once sang, it's all about the game and how you play it. And that is exactly what some of these drivers will be doing here today in this second of the races. Chris Wood is your top pro driver, along with Pete Harrod in 11th and 12th places, so keep an eye on those two. And then you've got Mark Fletcher in 20th, Foggy in 21st, Turnbull and Thompson 22nd, 23rd, and Evdoka 24th. Where's McFarlane? He's down in 29th. Getting ready for the start here. Wait for Simon Underhill to go, and he is going now, so we're going to go back green. Barney's waving the flag again. He's going to give himself a dislocated shoulder if he's not careful. As they go down to turn 1, Lyons is getting involved in there. There's one of the boosted Jericho cars, that's Nella, working his way around the side. Adam Hedgecock in there as well. It's really busy in the pack here. But at least with it being single file restart, it gives them a chance to be a little bit more spread out than in that opening start when the 2x2. And Josh Thompson, not that far behind, already up to 19th here.
He's got Ben Gregory alongside him, decisively moves across. He's got Nickel Foggy trying to go with him down the inside of Van der Ness. Very, very fast thinking stuff by Josh. Look at that. Down the inside of Webster, the corner after. He is on a mission here, but the thing is, Foggy's trying to go with him. He's trying to match him. He's now side by side with Van der Ness as well. In front of Thompson, making another move.
Oh!
On Hedgecock sideways. It was a bit messy.
That was a bit ambitious, was that? Oh, we've got a car upside down. I think it's Fletcher. Mark Fletcher. Oh, no, that's... Oh.
I'm going to see him in a few weeks at Brands, so I'm not going to let him live that down. But, oh, man, that's so gutting after such a fantastic first race from him. But it did seem a bit ambitious from Josh, and he was being, you know, he was being aggressive in moving forward, which, you know, we know he's got the capability to do, but you just have to have that patience sometimes, and it just seemed like he didn't quite have it there. But this is an intriguing one, isn't it?
Well, this is for second place, but Simon Underhill is romping away at the front, and this could be crucial for him. If he can get as much a gap as possible at the front of your field, the rest of them slowing down everybody else could really give Simon Underhill a big advantage here going into the second half of the race. So, well, this could be a turn up for the Bucks here. Oh, no, Byram!
Oh no, Byram's off big time. Is he going to come back across the track? That's Morgan Butler. He needs to try and get out of the way. He's going to be coming headfirst into traffic. I think he's hit Lars van Rijn. I think Morgan is, yeah, Lars van Rijn's upside down. He's on his roof. I've just seen it in the sim. He's off the other side of the hairpin upside down. Morgan was pitched across the grass by the contact. And I think we saw that, didn't we, in a previous... I'm sure we've seen that in a previous race.
Alex Neller.
Yes. Yeah.
Alex Neller last year.
Oh, yeah, you could tell we forgot. But, yeah, it was just that little bit of contact. We've seen it before, though, where they could just spit each other one way, then the other. Let's have a look. Oh, he's lost it.
He's lost it on the grass.
Lost it on his own, yeah.
And then he can't stop. He's got his foot absolutely planted. Oh, my goodness.
To be fair, they were lucky that it was only a couple of them that hit him there. That could have been a lot worse. It could have blocked the entire road, but I think it was Lars van Rijn. Was the other one Lee Berridge?
Yeah, I believe so.
Or was it... Oh, Hedgecock's dropped down as well, but obviously he was involved with Josh before, so it could have been either of them. They've tried to confuse us this season with split liveries that contain both of their colours, so serves them right for us not knowing. But this is James Whitehouse now second at the moment, but like you say, Paul, Simon Underhill, 2.5 seconds in the lead. This could really go his way here. No worries about slipstream, but James Whitehouse has still got to worry about Rowe and Stevens behind. Now, Tom Stevens has always been quick as well in the Evo SR car, so he's a potential winner here if he keeps it tidy.
Yeah, could well be somebody who moves forward. Speaking of moving forward, Josh Thompson now up to 8th place and going to try and make the move on Simon Field for 7th place. Now, Simon is a fiery customer. You don't want to fight him too hard because he will give no quarter, and he's certainly doing that right now. Giving each other space, though. That's a little bit respectful driving there, and Thompson gives a little bit of a squeeze back there into the left. But Thompson's up into 7th place now.
A little bit of damage on the front of Simon Field's car as well. You've got to think that's not going to be helping him through the kink out of all corners on the circuit. Just behind as well, that looked like Nickel Foggy getting past Max Wolf. He has just pulled in front there, and I think Matt Bunn has just gone through with him as well. Bunny's up there. 13 places gained for him. Josh Thompson's gained 28 places in the start of this race. Obviously, there was a big incident early on, but even by those standards, that is an incredible drive so far. You've got Foggy, who's gained 21, Turnbull's gained 20, Ashley Finch, 22, Jonathan Walker as well, Mr. Free M himself, championship sponsor, 23rd at the minute, 21 places gained for Jonathan Walker. What a great drive he's having.
Yeah, that's not bad going so far. Of course, you take advantage where you can. Interested to see where people who have made pit stops are. Andy Shield is the leading driver of those in 24th, with Kenneth Gulbranson in 25th. So there's a bunch of them in that mid-20s that are moving forward. Thompson now on Chris Wood. No, that's... yeah.
That's Pete Harrod.
That's Pete Harrod on Chris Wood, sorry. Thompson's behind. I got a little bit confused there. Harrod goes a little bit wide there. These two, pretty good friends, and they're fighting it out. They've got to be careful because Thompson looking to the inside. Oh, you got to be careful, Josh.
I would say he's putting his neck on the line, but there's plenty of it to go around. But Chris Wood at the moment, like you say, really good friends with Pete Harrod. Pete actually got Chris into sim racing. Look at Josh late on the brakes. He is so good on the brakes, in fairness to him. It is just awesome stuff down the inside. But yeah, it's like the Padawan and the Master really with Chris Wood and Pete Harrod, because Chris has become just as quick as Pete in a lot of cars. And you know, when I first started watching him sim racing, no offense to Chris, but you know, he was always at the back of the field, if not facing the wrong way. But he really is one of those drivers that's come on strong. Look at the run that he's got on the inside line. Well,
look at the BMW as well. This is actually one track where the BMW does have that strength, that long straights or long sweeping corners. It really does suit that BMW in terms of top speed. So that's one of its strengths. One of its weaknesses, however, is when you get to the bendy stuff, which is what you're seeing exactly right there. It's a long wheelbase car. It's made more for those long, lazy tracks there where you can really get the hammer down.
Yeah, and I remember the Z4 was good like that as well. It may not have had the best top end, but through anything fast, you know, fast sections, it was just so good. It was just strong in so many ways. And I mean, the acceleration it had, the mid-corner speed you could carry through places like the Porsche curves. I remember watching the Z4 through there. It was just incredibly planted as well. Wood's gone a bit wide. Thompson around the outside now, very close together. Foggy wants a piece of this as well. He's going to try and follow Josh through. Brakes a bit early, sees the door open, says thank you very much indeed. Now he's going to be on the outside of Chris through the kink, but that's going to give him the inside for the right-hander at the end of here. Oh, never mind that. No overlap at all. I thought there was going to be contact there, and Chris didn't see the tiny little Audi down his inside. Foggy late on the brakes. Clings onto the curb as much as he can. But now, again, he's going to be on the outside now.
I want to point out something. Thompson is catching up to your race leader. There's a reason why we've got the gap there on the timing tower, and that's because that gap, Josh Thompson's caught up about, I want to say about a second in the last couple of laps onto your race leader. So Underhill, he tried getting away to start with, but these faster guys now, who are really good in the twisty stuff, are really starting to make themselves felt and make themselves heard. And in fact, Thompson now up to the back of Pete Harrod, up in front of him.
Yeah, he's doing a great job at the minute, is Josh. And I mean, we expected this. I said earlier in the night that, you know, if Josh doesn't run away from it, or run away with it, you're going to get some fantastic battling out of him. But this is the sort of pace that we just expect to see. He's in the slipstream now, Tom Stevens. Pete Harrod moves in front. Tom even gives it a blip of the brakes, which gives Josh even more of a run. And Pete Harrod has gone down the inside of Jason Rowe. Josh Thompson tries to go around the outside. Stevens has lost his braking point and missed it. Jason Rowe gets swamped. Fair play. How they didn't make contact there, I do not know. That was unbelievable. But, you know, fantastic work from all of them to avoid any contact. They all took their own situations into their own hands, but Josh Thompson just breezes through, gains 2 places, and now wants another from Harrod, as Foggy's got one as well.
Oh, I've got to say, if you're Jason Rowe, you're in the middle of 2 cars going either side of you. It's a case of, well, which way do I go? And as you say, fair credit to all of them. They did a tremendous job there through turn 1. It's not the easiest of corners to work together with each other, is it? Because you're carrying that speed through there, you're turning and braking at the same time. It's so tricky.
Yeah, not only are you turning and braking, but you're also coming off the banking, and then all of a sudden it levels out, which upsets the car anyway. It's a bit of a bumpy braking zone. It's a double apex, and you want to turn in late, but at the same time you can't when there's a car there. If you need to make any sort of mid-corner or mid-braking zone adjustment into there, forget it. Turn right. It's easier.
Into the braking zone for the bus stop, and, well, that's Josh up into 3rd place now. There's Nicole Foggy behind Pete Harrod there. So the Pure Sims OBP driver trying to work his way past the Pure Sims Esports driver of Pete Harrod, who is there in the slipstream. Now, Pete is a quick driver.
Yeah.
And he is going for it on Josh. So Josh Thompson, he hasn't got it all easy. And Foggy, is that onto pit road?
Yeah.
It is.
He left that late as well. He really stayed with Josh there. But straight onto pit road. Matthew Doyle on pit road as well. But that was really...
Foggy had to reverse, I can tell you. He's had to reverse on pit road.
8.2 seconds I've got him as stationary for there. So not a long stop, but only 20 minutes of the race to go. So we are going to just expect shorter stops like this. Tom Dadswell's just on the fastest lap of the race, a 1:43.4. To put that into perspective, Josh Thompson obviously had a bit of battling going on, did a 44.9 last time round. Michael Avdoka did a 43.5 as well, but looking up and down the timing, they are the only 2 drivers that were in the 43s, everyone else in the 44s.
Just to keep you up to date as well, Baker and Dadswell are 2 drivers who did pit, and that was under the safety car. So they're in 16th and 17th places, so they're working their way through the field. And they're only, 14 seconds off of your leader. If they can make this last, as here goes Chris Wood on Tom Stevens into the bus stop chicane. Oh, back end swinging out there. Yeah, if Baker and Dadswell can work this one and keep it out the pits, they're in for a really good shout of a race win here.
Yeah, definitely. There's got to be a really strong balance now of saving the fuel where necessary and not losing time doing it. Because, as we all know, when you fuel save, yes, you are going a little bit slower, but if you do it at the right points, then you can really work it to your advantage and go forward very, very well. And, I mean, Baker's not hanging about. He goes past the number 83 there, which is Mark Woodhouse. He's gained 26 spots of his own in this race so far, but the fact that he hasn't even pitted yet shows how this is working for Baker and for Dadswell.
Yeah, we'll have to see how it all goes. Wood and Avdoka, they're now battling, and it's Avdoka finally getting ahead of Chris Wood to move up into 5th place there.
I'm not sure if you mentioned it earlier, sorry, Paul, but Ross Nicholson joined them on that second lap as well, actually. He's another one that pitted early on during the safety car.
Yeah, he's down in 20th, 32 seconds off of your leader. And you're talking about 40 seconds to go cone to cone here at this track. It's a long pit lane, even though you're doing a higher speed on that pit lane than most pit lanes. But Josh Thompson, once again, he's looking forward, but he's got to look back as well. Nicole Foggy, the first pit stop that you could kind of say was planned, really. Down in 22nd right now, 34 seconds off of your race leader.
Yeah, there's a few guys with an outside chance, but you've got to think that as the pit stops get shorter and shorter later on into this race, how much will that take off the overall pit lane time? Because I've been caught out with it before in the Scandinavian GT series where I was saying, oh, so-and-so, you know, I think it was Sindre Setsas pitted about 3 laps after everyone else at Le Mans, out of all places. And I was thinking, oh, he's got no chance here. You know, he's only got 20 seconds over him. But he was honestly in and out the pits like a flash, and he was right with him. And I felt like an idiot because I got it so wrong. It was unbelievable. I was saying, oh, he's going to come out 13th. He came out like 4th or something. But, you know, look at that, Josh forcing the thing, wrestling it around the International Horseshoe. But yeah, as the race goes on, that pit window will develop a bit and get shorter. But yeah, I still think that it might not change too much, because what variation did we have in the first race? About 3-4 seconds maybe in terms of the pit stop time.
Yeah.
So it would barely go under 40 seconds in the pit lane, I reckon.
Well,
So I've said all that for nothing, basically.
well, you never know. Never say never. I mean, we saw this in
True.
one of the previous endurance races as well. Remember that when you had one of the leaders who was staying out there and staying out there and staying out there, it was okay, oh, you've left it too late to be able to come out in front of those other drivers. You've got to have that balance, haven't you? You've got to try and move your way into the pit lane, get your... oh, stop done, Jim! Jim Whitehouse! Oh, and he's compromised Pete Harrod, and here comes Michael Evdoka going, well, I'll split the lot of you then. Bye-bye. Up into third place.
You need one of them absolutely terrible bowling alley split animations on screen now. Something like...
7-10 split or something like that.
Yeah. Oh, got just like terribly animated 3D creatures. Oh, Jonathan Walker, damaged car, nearly had to walk back to the pit lane there, but he's got going again. Big biff to the rear of the car. I'm wondering whether he's backed it into the wall or had help from somebody else. That's a really good-looking car with that livery on it. As there is number 60, Ashley Finch,
yes.
who's been impressive.
He is 7.9 seconds on the actual box. Brian Loyens as well. He's finding himself onto pit road, and he is one of the AM drivers out there getting his pit stop. No tyres, just fuel. Because if you take tyres in this race, you're asking for trouble. 11 seconds on the box there. A little bit longer in the pit box there. Now, Simon Underhill, he must be looking at his relative box right now and thinking, oh no, he's made it already up to me.
Yeah, sometimes in these races it's a case of when, not if, but I know Simon will be gutted to have seen that. You and I have both led races before, and you just think, please just don't let that one person get past someone easily and get closer to me, and then it always happens, doesn't it? It's always the way. But yeah, he's probably just going to be focusing forward now. He's thinking, you know, me looking at it more isn't going to make it go away, so let's just go forward and try my best. He's done a great job at leading it so far. 14 minutes, or just a little bit more than 14 minutes to go. Most of what would be a normal sprint race in this championship, but still, I mean, we've done nearly half an hour of this race. It has flown by once again. Just adding the strategy into these races and just extending the length of it is just fantastic. Really is a great formula they've put together for this season.
I will say, Simon Underhill, fair credit to him. Last season, he had possibly the worst luck of anybody on the grid.
Oh, yeah.
And he was not having fun out there. He's jumped into this Lamborghini, and he's been getting some good results. And to get an extended period of time at the front of the field here, it'll do him a world of good here for his confidence to be able to lead and stay in the lead for so long, and for it to take so long for Josh Thompson to get to him as well. That says a lot about him as well. I mean, Josh was 9/10 of a second faster on that last lap, so I will expect Josh to be making some moves very shortly indeed. But, you know, fair credit to Simon. He didn't have the best of season last season. This time in this race, he's having a good one so far.
Yeah, he's doing a great job, but in fairness, he wants Josh to go by on one of the slipstream sections here. He wants him to either go by before or after the bus stop, not sort of during the braking zone or anything. And if Josh has his wits about him here, he will wait until after the bus stop to get it done, because then he won't compromise himself either and his run. He's going to get a good run out of here and just try and get it done before the line. Tucks it in nicely on the right. Look at that through there. That's just unbelievable, the pace he's got. But it shows you the difference in level from some of these World Championship drivers. We've got, I mean, Simon Underhill's no slouch. He's got 2,700 I rating. Josh Thompson over 8,000 at the minute. And, you know, he's actually not got that good a run around the outside, so it's not worth
Josh
him.
is pitting
anyway. Yeah.
Wow. So Simon gets a lifeline here. Josh pits. Gets it in this pit stall. Not exactly straight, but gets the free repair. Now, he was carrying damage from that contact at the start with John Roberts. He was the one who put John on his side. 8.4 seconds in the pit stop. Dadswell and Baker, by the way, are up to 11th and 12th place. Now, I will say they only took a 4.6 and 4.8 second pit stop. That's going to be a tall order.
Yeah, it is. I mean, they're not too far up the road now. Dadswell ahead of Baker, of course. 18 places gained for them. There's just such a mix and match of how many positions people have gained in this race. It really was thrown up in the air by that incident in the safety car. So it's anybody's guess at the minute. It makes it all more intriguing for us. People are all over the place at different points of their race and different strategies and so on. We've got a number of guys in the top 20 that haven't pitted yet. But like we keep saying, Dadswell and Baker, they're currently 11th and 12th overall. Not too far behind Jason Rowe and Max Wolf. We need to just keep a close eye on those two and see what progress they make. And of course, keep an eye on their lap times. I'll look at those as well just to see if they do drop off. But I mean, they're on pace at the minute. Dadswell was actually faster than everybody ahead of him except for the likes of Evdoka, Harrod and McFarlane. Although no one was faster than Evdoka last time. Fastest lap of the race, 1:43.2.
Yeah, this is just getting faster and faster. Simon Underhill, you can see the flashing lights from Michael Evdoka. Evdoka's trying to get in his mind already. But again, Underhill's doing well. Chris Wood comes onto pit road. He's had enough of fighting with his buddy Pete Harrod. Tom Stevens onto pit road as well for those two as they head on out of the first few corners into the International Horseshoe again. 10 minutes remaining in this race. Simon Underhill is your top Pro-Am at the moment in this race. He's also your race leader. Michael Evdoka, second place, is your top Pro. Your top Am driver is Jim Whitehouse in 5th place. So good going so far. Pit stop still owed for the top 8. Nella and Atkins as well owe us a pit stop, as well as Simon Nella as well. So both of the Nellas owe us a pit stop. Everybody else has made at least one pit stop. Remember, live timing available, RaceSpot.tv/timing2. The link is in the chat. It's the pin post in chat. So make sure you keep up to date with everything that's going on pit stop wise and strategy wise. But here comes Evdoka then on Simon Underhill. He's doing something that Josh Thompson couldn't do on Simon Underhill, and that's moved to the head of the field.
Yeah, he's not going to hold him up too much into there. Just a little bit of a compromise in the braking zone, but I think Simon would rather take that than get completely held up into somewhere like turn 1. A little bit of a moment on the way through, though, so not the smoothest of rides, but he's still up there, and this is the thing. It's good points in the championship, and a man that needs that is Matt Bunn, who's currently in 6th place at the minute, but I believe he still needs to pit, as do most of these guys, actually. As Underhill now comes in, he thinks, stuff it, I've lost the place, I may as well just pit now and see what I get when I come out.
As Bunn and Wolf, who are battling, come onto pit road, so too does Jim Whitehouse. Jason Rowe is on pit road, so the majority of the front runners onto the pit lane now for their pit stops. So, what can they do out there to try and get themselves a good final stint? Alex Nella is showing in his pit box in 1st place. I don't know how it's worked that out, but the timing will catch itself up there. As
Nella's pit crew are just that fast.
Yeah, Dadswell and Baker, I do think that they're not going to make it to the end here.
Now, Mark Fletcher's actually just put in the chat, hasn't he? Dadswell cannot make it. So, spoiler alert, but...
Oh, he had to spoil it for us, didn't he? We could have kept the tension up, and never mind.
I'm removing the comment just for the sake of it. There you go. Right. But no, in fairness, though, you know, it was very much on the brink. So it'll be intriguing to see where they end up, though, even after a quick splash and dash at the end. But I mean, it's still a long pit lane time, because even if you take 1-2 seconds in the box, which, well, to be fair, I think it's about 3-second minimum, isn't it?
Yeah.
You're still going to be in there for 40-odd seconds.
You certainly are, and it's not going to work out for them. That's well, here we go. So, Evdoka, Harrod, and McFarlane all owe us a pit stop. Matt Turnbull has pitted, although our live timing is showing that he hasn't. Is McFarlane coming onto pit road? Yes, along with Pete Harrod and Evdoka. They're all coming in.
Yeah, they must have really got to the limit of the fuel now. Just noticed that Mark's put in the chat, Dadswell can make it. Flipping heck.
Well, Dadswell's taken the lead.
He has.
Here comes David Baker along as well, so he'll move up to second place.
Look at the gap difference. I think Baker might make this, you know. He's lost 9 seconds to Dadswell. I think he might have saved enough to get to the end here. I'm keeping an eye on Baker here, as I'm sure we all will do, but it's whether he gets caught up by these boys now, because, I mean, these guys know what they're doing with their calculations on fuel, and I reckon they could push to the end as Thompson jumps them.
So Thompson...
Well, he was in front anyway, wasn't he?
Ahead of Foggy now, and Evdoka. Ross McFarlane, 7th place. Oh, and he's come out right in the middle of some traffic. He's got Turnbull, he's got Wood, he's got Pete Harrod behind him as well. So actually McFarlane's been able to jump Pete Harrod. A tardy pit stop from Pete has moved him further down the order. So yeah, it's Tom Dadswell. What can he do here? Let's bring up the stint. He's been going 16 laps. David Baker 15. It's a tall order as this.
Yeah, he's got a lot of work to do to make sure that he can make it. I think he might have just realised by now, you know, I'm not going to make it, so I'm just going to go flat out, take the splash and dash and see what comes my way afterwards. But,
Here he comes.
There you go, yeah. No, it's a real shame for Dadswell, but, you know, as I said earlier on, you have to roll the dice, don't you? When you are further down the order than you normally are, get your words out, Chaz, you do have to just roll that dice. And, I mean, look at that. The list of positions these guys have gained. Josh Thompson, the highest of them, 32 spots at the minute. Baker stays out and carries on, but not one of those guys there have gained less than 25 places. Well, there you go. Tom Dadswell proves me wrong, but you know what I mean. Amazing stuff to come through. And, I mean, we said before the race, you know, it isn't easy to make up places around here, but if you do it in the right way and you have an aggressive strategy, then you're going to fly. And I think that's what makes the main difference, isn't it, in a race like this? It's having that strategy call to just get one over on your rivals a little bit and some of the drivers that you might get caught up behind on track.
Well, Dadswell comes out in 11th place, ahead of Jesse Jones and Matt Bunn. So, I mean, that's not a bad position to come out in after that pit stop. Now, David Baker has been doing 1 minute 46 on his last lap. He is so much fuel saving right now. And Josh Thompson, he was about 8 seconds behind. He is gobbling up that time. Baker desperately does not want to have to come onto pit road here.
No, he really needs to try and make this last, even if he manages... Oh, my life. Sean Gardner is at the wrong airport. I can tell you that for free, or he's a bit far from the airport, but that is a monster of an accident. The car wasn't travelling at that much speed at that point, so I'm wondering whether he's lost it and then been collected.
Well, this is him coming into turn 1. We're on the replay. He's
not good.
He's lost he's had a technical problem.
Yeah, throttle stuck open.
Oh,
my
no!
life.
Oh, it's his teammate!
Oh, no! Oh, man.
Mike Horder!
He's just won the Enduro Cup and he celebrates with a monumental... Well, he's got a barbecue in the back of the Lamborghini. It's a 5.2 litre V10 Barbie.
Oh, Dave Baker's on pit road. He knows he can't make it.
That's such a shame,
But look at the battle for the lead now.
Oh.
Thompson, Evdoka, Foggy. They've got 3 minutes to fight it out. 2 laps here, Chaz. It's on.
It is on like Donkey Kong, as they say. Josh Thompson still leading the way. A bit of civil war going on behind him. Nickel Foggy and Michael Evdoka. Fantastic stuff. 2 teammates in the same stable at Pure Sims, but Pure Sims Esports chasing down Pure Sims OBP. Nickel Foggy, 2-time champion of the World GT Championship. Michael Evdoka, a man that is always quick, always impressive, and so funny. Honestly, one of the best guys I know, Michael Evdoka. Always up for a laugh. He's terrible at Rocket League, so he just blows everybody up, but he's not too bad in the sim, and he's not doing too badly here tonight at Daytona. 2 minutes to go in this race. I reckon we're only going to, well, we are definitely only going to get one more lap after this one, Paul.
2-minute warning then. And, well, look at this. Thompson, Foggy and Evdoka are your top 3 in this race. Tom Dadswell is still your top place Pro-Am in 10th place, with Matt Bunn in 2nd in Pro-Am in 12th place. And then down at Simon Field, the 3rd of the Pro-Am drivers. Here comes Evdoka looking to the front. In your Am drivers, by the way, Jim Whitehouse 13th, Paul Webster 15th, and Tom Stevens 16th places here. So, wow, here we go. Oh, right, as I mentioned that, Jim Whitehouse is dropping down the order. And he's got damage.
Oh, no. Oh, that's such a shame. Baker flying through the middle of it as well. Oh, there's a car going slow there as well up top. Yeah, Van der Ness. Let's see what happened. Is it just going to be a spin into the wall? Not got any.
Yep,
oh,
yep.
yeah, it just gets away under brakes. Wow, that's actually quite the hit as well. It didn't look that damaged for what he'd had done to it. Oh, I think Van der Ness maybe got a slowdown from that, you know, and that's why he was slow up top. But look at these 3, Paul. Wow, Foggy right in the middle. Oh, he's looking at the inside.
Getting wheels on the grass, holds onto it, does Foggy. My goodness, his heart will have been in his mouth, and, well, he needs a change of underpants with that one as well. But through onto the oval, Josh Thompson now. If he's... what does he do? Because he's a sitting duck right now. If you're the 3rd place car, Michael Evdoka, you're potentially in the best place.
Yeah, that's true, because not only have you got the slipstream from one car, when one of them moves out the way, you've got the slipstream from the other one. Foggy looks down low. There'll be piano keys all over the floor of his room at the minute. Josh backs out of it. He lets Foggy go in front.
Yeah.
This
is a 200 IQ move right here. He's let Foggy past. He wanted the slipstream out of the bus stop chicane, and he's going to go for it. Evdoka behind what's going to happen with him? We're on to the run. Oh, he's had to back out of it a little bit. He's getting the slipstream onto the start and finish straight. What can he do? It's Thompson and Foggy across the line. Here comes Evdoka. Oh, there's contact between the 2 Pure Sims cars. They wipe each other out. Thompson gets the double win here. And Michael Evdoka incredibly gets 2nd place.
Nicholas Maz in the chat said, yeah, they're going to take each other out. And Watson said Pure Sims like taking each other out after what we've seen before. As a bit of a joke, we must add. But, well, it happened. Whether it was Foggy coming down to defend or if Doka moved up a little bit, let's have a look. Yeah, Foggy comes down to defend it. Foggy says, not in your life. And that...
if you're going to finish...
I'm sorry, you can't not laugh at that. But... The thing is, if he's going to go down low, below that line, there's not a lot you can do about it. You've just got to let him do it. You'd rather just stay in it and finish, and by doing that, Foggy's lost another position there. But, well, Thompson did the right thing. He played it to perfection. You know, he gave Foggy just a car's width. There's the move. Look, Foggy comes back down below that line, and then there it is. The second bit of contact spears them into the wall. That's a moment where you're grateful that it's sim racing and they're both all right. But Foggy there, like something out of Super Mario, sliding along on his roof. But, well, what a dramatic finish to this race, Paul. That makes everything else, no offence to anyone, seem all a bit insignificant. Barney there dusting off the flag again. But, wow, what a fantastic finish. And another amazing night of racing from the World GT Championship with this beautiful 2 40-minute race. feature format. Love it. Absolutely love it.
It's been absolutely brilliant, has this. I love... And the ending of both races has just been absolutely spot on. Let's give you your race results here, and you'll be able to see it officially when it decides to actually give us the race results here. There we go. Josh Thompson by 0.051. Oh, almost double the length of last race. So well done to Josh for the double win tonight here. Michael Evdoka second place, just sneaking that second place over Nicole Foggy. There'll be plenty of discussions between those two, I bet. Look at how close McFarlane and Turnbull were, by the way. That was extremely close between the two of them there. Then, Chris Wood in 6th place. Good result for the Team Mad driver. Pete Harrod 7th. Ashley Finch, a really good recovery drive after his issue of race 1. Kenneth Gulbranson in 9th place. And then the leading Pro-Am driver in 10th place, Tom Dadswell. Jesse Jones, 11th, ahead of your 2nd place Pro-Am driver of Matt Bunn. 3rd place Pro-Am driver is Simon Field. On the last lap, Paul Webster at the line has beaten Brian Lyons by 9/1000ths of a second to take the victory here in Pro-Am. Tom Stevens, in AM should I say, Tom Stevens 3rd placed AM driver ahead of David Baker. Max Wolf, Alex Neller and Chris van der Ness round out your top 20. Matt Doyle then ahead of Jason Rowe with Andy Scheel, Matt Woodhouse, Liam Atkins and Andy Archer into 26th place. Ben Gregory, a bit anonymous really today from him, unfortunately it must said, in 27th, with Simon Underhill in 28th after leading for the majority of the race, ending up in 28th place. Simon Neller and Ross Nicholson round out 30th place. James Whitehouse then 31st ahead of Jonathan Walker, who had that issue down at the bus stop chicane. Chris Byram, Adam Hedgecock, Michael Blake down in 35th, who got involved in that opening lap incident. Lars Van Rijn, your last of your lead lap runners. And John Roberts does end up scoring points in 37th place. Mike Horder, 2 laps down, does not score anything along with Sean Gardner and Morgan Butler. Matt Fletcher and Lee Berridge with Adam Watson and Jason Hodgson all not finishing the race. I'm speechless, Chaz, by that ending.
Oh, well, to be fair, to look at the positive of it, Josh Thompson, 2 race wins in one night. I said tonight that he was going to be absolutely on it, and I mean, I hate to say I told you so, but you know, it could have gone any other way though. You know, he had so much going on around him. He had to really work for it. It's not like he had it easy tonight and just drove away like we've seen before. But that race had everything. You know, people trying different strategies. Dave Baker and Tom Dadswell. Incidents aplenty in the second one, but you know, we still raced on despite the yellow flag early on. Great racing between drivers, so close side by side, bits of contact, that epic save from Foggy near the end as well. My God, he would have been hearing piano noises in his head for days after that. But yeah, that was definitely a brown trouser moment there. But yeah, that's just, I don't know what it is about these feature race formats. They just naturally provide epic racing, and it's an absolute joy to commentate on it. I'm really going to miss these formats, especially because the addition of it to this season, along with the Enduro Cup as well, it's just thrown so many more factors into it. It's phenomenal, really is. So hats off, boys.
Well, why not you have a word with race winner Josh Thompson?
Oh, here he is. Josh, now I did big you up before the evening got underway, but did you expect to get 2 wins out of this tonight?
No. We know what Daytona is like. Anything can happen, and even if you're on pole, you never know what's going to happen on the run to the line. So, yeah, to get 2, especially with reverse grid around here, yeah, I'm absolutely chuffed.
Yeah, it is a very difficult circuit to get a result out of. I mean, you know, we were speaking about your experience here in a lot of the special events and obviously other series that you've raced in here before. It's a track that a lot of people tend to know, so it tends to level the playing field a bit, doesn't it, when it's a circuit that gets used in special events?
Yeah, exactly. Because it's one of those tracks where a lot of people have done a lot around. Like you said, Daytona. There's other series. What I'm pretty sure every series or league runs here. Oh, what car? Even if the car is a little bit off pace, you can, still keep up. And I think that's the beauty of the track. It keeps everyone in it as you sort of start the race. It's just one long train.
Yeah, I mean, even at the end of it, there was so much slipstreaming going on. You made it work, and obviously the contact between Foggy and Evdoka was what ultimately made sure that you'd sealed the win there as well. But I mean, you had some great battles all the way through the field, didn't you? I mean, we could certainly tell that you were pushing early on.
Yeah, kind of fortunate with the start. I got a big hit at the pile up in out of turn 1 into 2. So I had damage on the right front and left front, and then I made a silly move on Hedgecock, and I clipped him there, which then damaged the front right again. So I was having to push like mad. I knew with a toe I could match, but as soon as I got to the front of the grid, the pace started dropping off. Come through, but looking enough, it paid off. Just being aggressive, just getting on with it.
Well, that's what you've got to do sometimes. And I mean, Paul and I both said earlier on that you really do need to push in a moment like that. You have to do what you can, because I mean, as we've already said, you can't just get in front of someone and then get away. The slipstream keeps it close together. But either way, entertaining as always, Josh. Final round of the season coming up. 3 sprint races at the wonderful Circuit de Barcelona, Catalunya. How are you feeling about going towards that one?
Interesting. Obviously, I was good there last time. I was robbed of a triple, basically, nearly. So it'd be nice to try and get the triple. I think it'll be harder, though. I think the Lambo is a little bit off the pace of what the BMW was compared to everyone else last time there. Tonight showed that in the infield. I just couldn't match the Audi, so I had to try everything. Again, it's sprint races. It's my natural habitat in some sort of aspect with World GT. You can go for a triple. It'd be nice to finish the season off after a rough, awful few months. So.
Yeah, I was going to say it's not been the easiest few months for you, mate, and it's good to see you. You've still got it, mate. You've got these wonderful victories this evening, and you've had some good battles on the way there. So great to watch as ever. But thanks very much for joining us, Josh. We'll see you in a week's time, buddy.
Yeah, thank you. I just want to give a quick shout out to everyone who spotted, because I had 5 people. So I want to give thanks to Fraser. Yeah, Fraser for being a spotter. Tim doing fuel. Dovis being a pit lane reporter, and Elliot Roberts doing photos. So it was kind of a funny night with having them on board, but it was fun. It helped me get the win. So
cracking stuff. Good team. Really good lineup that. But nice one, Josh. We'll see you in a week, mate.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers.
Says a lot stuff. when he's got a bigger team than we have on the broadcast. He's got pit lane reporter, for goodness sake.
Yeah, he's got a pit lane reporter and we haven't. Oh, God, where's Arjuna when you need him?
Well, the next person we're going to speak to now is Alex Nella. Alex, let's talk through your evening. I mean, first of all, you didn't spear off and wipe out somebody like you did last year, but that never happened because it didn't count. So, talk us through that for yourself tonight.
Yeah, it never happened, Paul. I don't know what
it
you're
never
talking
happened.
about.
Yeah,
never happened. No. Well, the night started out very well. I pulled an absolute blinder in quali and stuck myself 5th on the grids in overtime in quali, so I was very happy with that. And then race 1 was a bit of a struggle, really. I got a decent start, but then I was kind of freight trained a bit in the opening laps. Ended up finishing, I think, 5 places down. I started 5th, finished 10th. That was a difficult one. And then in the race just now, I had an incident with Nicole Foggy at turn 1, which caused me to drop to the back of the field. So I was just absolutely ringing it all the way through. That's probably one of the more consistent races I've had this season, actually, in terms of being on the limit all the time. It's just a shame that it was only good enough for 19th. But I think kind of that's what we do this series for, really. If every race is easy, then it wouldn't be as good.
Yeah, absolutely. It's all about the challenge, and that's it. But we've had all the endurance events now here. How have you found them for yourself?
Well, I mean, the endurance races have been fantastic, but I think The features.
Feature.
have been
I've been saying that all evening, by the way. It's the feature races. We've had all of them. What have you thought to this format change?
It's the end. It's getting to the end of the season, Paul. We'll let you off. Yeah, these feature races. I think they've been a great addition to the season. The addition of the pit stop just opens up so many more opportunities to do some interesting things in the race. They didn't particularly play much of a part tonight for me, because after I was dropped to the back of the pack, I basically just floored it and just ran it until it was empty, because I was in clean air for most of the time. So I figured, well, light fueled car is better than heavy fueled car. But yeah, they've been a great addition to the championship. I hope we see them back next season.
Well, Alex, we'll let you get off and enjoy the rest of your evening. But thank you very much for joining us here on commentary.
Thank you very much. See you later, guys.
See you later, mate.
That's Alex Nella, who's joined us, and we're going to get a very quick word from somebody else now, Ben Gregory.
Ben, we have very limited time left on the broadcast, mate. Can you sum up your race evening in 6 words?
I'll try.
There's 3.
Extremely fun, honestly.
Love it. Thank you, Ben. There you go, Ben Gregory, everybody. Then, well, it is an enjoyable track to drive, Daytona. You know, it's always one of those ones where I find it's a little bit understated, because when you have done the 24 hours around it, you do get a little bit sick of seeing it when you've done it a couple of times. But, you know, you always come back here, much like Spa. You know, I said it last time out. It's one of those tracks where you forget how much you enjoy it till you drive it again. But what a wonderful venue it's been this evening, mixed with this format as well. That was a true belter. But we head, of course, to the final round of the championship next week. 3 20-minute sprint races at one of my very favourite circuits in the world, Circuit de Barcelona, Catalunya. But we're not using the terrible chicane. We're using the historic layout, the fast couple, the final corners. What a belter that's going to be, Paul.
It certainly is. It's been a long season for the drivers and those of us here in the commentary booth as well. But it's certainly been an enjoyable one. And we have got that one final round of the season to go here. So make sure you join us at the same time, 7:50 in the evening UK time. Work that out from your local timings. And, well, do make sure you join us, because 3 sprint races, 20-minute sprint races in these cars with reverse grids for the second and third races, and championships to be won as well. That is what we are all looking forward to. So, from everybody here at RaceSpotTV, from Chaz Draycott and from myself, Paul Smith, thank you very much for joining us here. And until next time, do take care, and goodbye.
Myself to the night, there's no motive. We're just listening, we're existing.